Today's video, we're going to be talking about how we can tell which teams everyone is building and as a result, what cards are going to rise up until Friday. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4 or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is covering players that are basically going to be rising to Friday, because we can tell what teams everyone's building and what teams people are going to build into Weekend League. Just before we do this, we might as well recap a few of the investments we've done recently and just talk about how they're looking. Openda's video made like 3-4 days ago where I bought them all for 13. He's already up to 17. Obviously got the gold Openda last week, which was 1.2. Now he is down at 1.4, but when I made the video I think it was 1.1. Obviously he did have peaks, I think, all the way up here to about 3.2. Lafont has been pretty rubbish, but I didn't really think Lafont would have done that well. He's gone from discard to 850. This card, another card I tipped, 12k, already up at 13,750. Happy days. What else? Oh yeah, the FPFL managers, they were insane. They went up to 1.2k a card. So I sold all the ones I bought for 200. I think I was a bit lazy. I only bought like 100, 150, but bought them at 200, sold at 1.2, and the SBC isn't even out, so I could even just go back buying again. And I think that's probably about it, really. So the investments have been quite successful. The only one that has sadly been relatively unsuccessful was Kakreta. On the time of buying the video, he was 2.5. Now, obviously, he's low right now, but you're not really going to be holding till today. You normally want to sell like 1 or 2 days in advance to beat the panic selling. But yeah, I think the buy was like 2.5, and he never really went higher than 2.5. So that was the only flop out of about 6 investments. 1 flop, 5 passes. If you had to evenly distribute your coins, I mean, the Openda himself would have easily made back any money lost on Kakreta. But in the days of trading, you live and you learn. So, what are we going to be learning today? That's the question. Today we're going to be learning about seeing what direction people are building their teams, and as a result knowing what cards are going to rise till Friday. The direction, I guess, I don't know, we'll get to it fast, is Ligue. Now the direction is Ligue is because the SBCs EA's released this week are a pile of toss. They're awful. Garcia, yeah, he's great for squad battles, I'm sure. We've got a bunch of MLS players. No one cares about MLS players. Arguably one of the only demanded ones, Terrier, is yet again in the league. I mean, he isn't that crazily demanded, but he's cheap and he's already fitting teams that everyone's using. Other than that, we got Riyad Mahrez. Well, 300k SBCs just are not completed. We then get to Politano. Politano's a pretty well demanded SBC, despite not being from the league, and I'd say he's the one black sheep in the flock where he's the only one that isn't in the league and that's demanded. And then apart from that, the SBCs we had last week were nothing too insanely demanded, apart from the Ligue 1 ones. Now, I don't personally think this guy's well demanded, although he did manage to drop Pepe, which was interesting. But you've got the more well demanded SBCs such as Bellegarde. We've got the well demanded SBC of Eric Bailly. We had, who else did we have from the Ligue 1 then? Unless they've already expired. Yeah, I imagine they would have already expired. But obviously we had the Klaus Objective. Oh, we had the Payet SBC. We've had a fair few SBCs in the Ligue 1, and as a result of this, there's been really good demand for Ligue 1 players as of the last 3-4 weeks now. I can show you this because it's Sissoko. Now, here is Sissoko rising all the way from the 20th of December. We can see him rising for week 1, for week 2, for week 3. He did go down yesterday because of the World Cup Hero Pack. But here's one thing that just shows you the sheer demand. Yes, he was 71 then got panic sold down to 63. But he's already back up at 70. So only, 1 day of panic selling, back up again. And he should continue rising through to Friday, as long as EA's not going to release another Hero and Icon SBC, which going off of trends is very unlikely for them to do. So the investment that we're going to be looking at is basically looking at the Ligue 1 players and having a look at what Ligue 1 players should rise the most going into Friday. Now the first rule of thumb you want to go for is you want to stick to players 100k and under. Now the reason for this is we could go and pick someone like a Kocha. And I can show you that Kocha has also been rising probably for the last few weeks. But Kocha has gone from 686 to, I mean, I don't think he'd be actually selling at 790, to about 750, which means a Kocha has gone up the best part of 70k. Well, for a card that's 750, or I guess a card that was just under 700, that's a 12% increase. hey, I guess if you wanted to use his card, you're using his card and you could sell him without losing coins and tax. But that's a 12% increase. Whereas we look at cheap card like Sissoko, he has gone from 36k to 72k, which is basically doubling in price. So he's a 100% increase. So, and the reason that this has happened is the SBCs that have been being released are like 50k, 60k, another 50k, another 60k, a free objective. They aren't super expensive SBCs, which means the people who are doing them is the everyday FIFA player. And the everyday FIFA player is not buying the likes of 700k Kocha. But what they are buying is they're buying the likes of Sissoko. They are buying the likes of Befausen. Okay, well, they're buying the likes of this pie, even though he had an SBC. They're buying the likes of Ito. They're buying the likes of Govi, because these cards are the affordable cards. So the first criteria that I would go for is only look at buying cards that are, you know, under 100k from the Ligue. Now the second thing that I would keep an eye out for is we've got the Raul Garcia, but we actually have some more SBCs coming. And as a result of having these more SBCs coming of Tavernier and Ken, I'd probably stay away from right backs and left wings just to play it very safe. Just because if Tavernier is extremely good, he could drop the likes of, I don't know, he's a really good right back in the league, and that isn't Hakimi. I don't know, like Inform Traore. Or Kent could go and drop the likes of someone who's predominantly used at the left wing. I wouldn't say someone like Pai is predominantly used as a left wing. He's definitely more of a cam to striker sort of card. Mainly a cam, let's be honest. But yeah, someone who's solely used as a left wing. I mean, I imagine the likes of Moses Simone could actually take a bit of a hit. Yeah, he's got a striker utility, but there's probably more demand for him out wing. I mean, he's probably not that undemanded. But nonetheless, I still think there's a chance that he'd take a bit of a hit because of the likes of Ken. And the Kent and the Tavernier, I think, are the only SBCs this week. I mean, there's only a chance of there being this SBC and one more player SBC to move people away from Ligue 1 teams. And again, yeah, you can invest in some English Prem players if you want to have a bit of an insurance on your Ligue 1 investment. But that's, I guess, the panic away. So now we need to have a little look at what cards we're going to be going for. Now, the cards that I would be going for is basically cards that have been rising for 2-3 weeks. Some of the best positions are midfielders. The best position, they've just had the best rises. I think it's because, I guess, it's the most used position on the pitch. You know, you've got the chance of having 3 midfielders, whereas obviously you're not going to have 3 right backs. But what's crazy is someone even like Pai, you know, he had an SBC, but this guy's doubled in price. And we can see as of recently, this guy's had some hyper demand. Could be a little bit down to Terrier maybe, but I think it's just generally because everyone's building, again, Ligue 1 teams. So Pai wouldn't be a bad look. Now, when it comes to buying these cards, how you want to decide what you buy them for is you basically just don't want to buy them on a high fluctuation. So if they're 36k in the morning, I wouldn't really want to buy them 39k in the evening, because if by magic... No, this guy's not going to be a good example. See if I can use someone like Sissoko. Basically, oh no, Ito will be a better example. So basically what happens is the cards go up and down, up and down, up and down all day. So when it comes to buying the player, what you want to do is make sure you're not buying them heavily inflated from the, from the day before. So for example, we've got the likes of Ito, right? And on Sunday, Ito was 85k in the evening. But if we go look at the following morning, even before we had any SBCs coming out, he went back down to 78k. And that's because the likes of 85k was so high in comparison to what he was kind of all morning at least. Like this guy was, you know, 80 and under all morning. Whereas again, even before we had any SBCs come out, he went down 7k. So when it comes to buying these cards, what you need to do is just go onto Footbin and see, are they basically the most expensive they've been in the last 24 hours? And if the answer is yes, it's probably a case of wait for them to go down, or just go and find someone else who isn't the most they've been for the last 24 hours. I think, you know, again, I'll go back to Sissoko. I think Sissoko right now is probably the most he's been in the last 24 hours. Yeah, he kind of is the most he's been for the last 24 hours. Obviously, in the morning he was down at like 64, 65, whereas now he's almost up another 5k. So what I would do here is I'd probably just wait till the following morning and then go and buy them. I'm sure when the video's released right now is probably a good time to go and buy the Ligue 1 players. But this is another thing that just shows how much demand. You know, these cards can rise so much during the day because they're just so demanded, because people are building Ligue 1 teams. And once again, they have been building Ligue 1 teams now for the best part of 4 weeks. So one thing you're kind of looking for is kind of the steepness of the rise, especially in the last 2 weeks. So if I go and load up the likes of Papin, right? Again, Ligue 1 special card under 100k, 75k. If we kind of look at his last 2 weeks, especially when you go look at his recent time, he's kind of been very, very stagnant here for almost... What's this? The best part of a week he was very, very stagnant for last week. Yes, he did drop and rebound. Whereas if we look at someone like Ito, Ito's been a lot less stagnant. Like he's had a lot better rise, and that's every single week he's had a really good rise. You're not really seeing any of like this flattening out with Papin, which is probably where the demand's starting to drop off. So unlike Ito, the demand just goes up and up and up. Now I did go for down for the likes of Politano. We can actually see a really good rebound there after the Politano, which is why I think Ito's actually a really good investment. Because again, he's in a position where there's a lack of Ligue 1 players, and once again, we saw the rebound after Politano, so we can see that this card is very well demanded. Obviously, he plateaued out yesterday because everyone plateaued out yesterday because of the Icon SBC. But I think that's going to wrap it up. Yeah, so this has kind of been decent investments, I guess, before the Icon SBC, but the Icon SBC's made them even better because it's allowed there to be some drops, which has given you guys some investing opportunities. But that has been that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow if there's another investment.